Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
General Hospital spoilers allude that Jason Morgan may get a hijacking indication and dig for the Anna Devane Verity when no bone differently will. Could Jason connect some blotches and eventually realize commodity is a mess? It's strange that so numerous characters are willing to accept this bogus story about Anna being pulled back into the WSB for a classified assignment. Laura Collins was at least a little thwarted by Anna skipping the usual leave of absence protocol and abandoning her police manager job out of nowhere. Still, Laura has bigger problems to contend with right now, so we'll cut her some slack for letting it go and not digging any deeper. That said, someone easily needs to take a near look at the situation, so perhaps that someone could be Jason. The show has surely spent some time developing Jason and Anna's bond, so he may end up figuring out she's in trouble. The voice that sounded like Caesar Faison told Anna to be at peace since she was on her way to a new life, so she presumably wouldn't be chained to a president indefinitely. There may be a moment when Anna can ever find a way to communicate with the people she left before back in Port Charles. Anna might try to get a communication to Jason and warn him to the fact that she's wedged in a mess. Also again, Jason may not indeed need that to eventually realize commodity's wrong. The fact that Anna apparently got dragged into this critical WSB charge may leave Jason unsettled and wondering if it had commodity to do with his Faison gaslighting proposition. Of course, Jason doesn't trust Jack Brennan and may not be willing to take his word for it when it comes to this WSB assignment. GH suckers know Brennan got a phone call from someone who sounded like Anna, but Jason may question if the call was legal or commodity made with AI. Anyhow, there could be some hints along the way that raise red flags for Jason and point to disturbing Anna news. Will Jason vault into action at some point and try to track Anna down? Maybe Britt Westbourne could get tangled up in Jason's hunt to find Anna since it'd bring an occasion for them to grow closer while working together. General Hospital spoilers say Anna could use a deliverer or two, so stay tuned for updates on whether Jason and perhaps indeed Britt will help her. In the sprawling, interconnected tapestry of Port Charles, truth is a rare and fleeting commodity. It is often buried beneath layers of convenient fiction, political expediency, and the well-intentioned lies loved ones tell each other to maintain a fragile peace. The city operates on a delicate balance of accepted narratives, and when one thread of that narrative begins to fray, the entire fabric threatens to unravel. The mysterious and abrupt disappearance of Police Commissioner Anna Devane is one such fraying thread. While most of Port Charles has accepted the official story, a sudden, classified recall to the WSB, a lingering disquiet persists for those who know Anna best. This disquiet sets the stage for a classic General Hospital conspiracy, one where a solitary, determined figure must cut through the fog of deception. As spoilers hint, that figure may well be Jason Morgan, a man whose very identity is built upon a foundation of loyalty and unshakable, if ruthless, truth-seeking. His potential investigation into Anna's whereabouts promises a baptism into a new kind of war, one of shadows and information, and will inevitably summon a chorus of encouraging words from allies and angry threats from the powerful forces determined to keep the truth buried. The unsettling silence, a story no one is questioning. The official account of Anna Devane's departure is, on its surface, plausible. As a former director of the WSB, her skills are unparalleled, and the world of international espionage is one where old debts are never truly forgiven. The notion of being pulled back in is a trope familiar to every spy. Yet, for those who have shared their lives with Anna, the details don't just feel rushed, they feel fundamentally wrong. Anna Devane is a woman of order and protocol. She did not just abandon her post as police commissioner, she built that department anew, instilling in it a sense of integrity and purpose that it had long lacked. For her to vanish without a trace, without a formal leave of absence, without so much as a personal, encrypted goodbye to her daughter, Robin, or her closest confidants, is completely antithetical to her character. Laura Collins, with her sharp political instincts and deep friendship with Anna, sensed this dissonance immediately. Her bafflement was a brief but significant flicker of awareness on screen. A mayor does not simply accept the unexplained disappearance of her police commissioner. Yet, as the spoilers rightly note, Laura is engulfed in a personal and political maelstrom. Her grandson, Rocco Falconeri, is facing arrest, her mayoral campaign is under siege, her family is fracturing under the strain. In the hierarchy of crises, the mystery of a colleague's sudden sabbatical, however uncharacteristic, must temporarily take a back seat. Laura's forced acquiescence is a powerful testament to the way Port Charles operates. Immediate, visceral threats always overshadow the slow-burning, insidious ones. Her inaction, born of necessity, creates a vacuum that darkness is all too eager to fill. This collective, weary acceptance from the rest of Port Charles is equally telling. It speaks to a community perpetually in a state of crisis fatigue. For Sonny Corinthos and Carly Spencer, the threat is Jack Brennan and the corporate takeover of his holdings. For Michael Corinthos and Willow Tate, it is a brutal custody war. For the Quartermains, it is Ned's fragile health. Anna's absence becomes just another piece of troubling background noise in a symphony of chaos. But it is this very complacency that the perpetrators are counting on. The perfect lie is not one that is utterly convincing, it is one that is just plausible enough that no one has the energy or will to challenge it. The lone investigator, why Jason Morgan is the key. In this landscape of willful ignorance and distracted concern, Jason Morgan emerges as the ideal, perhaps the only, candidate to pursue the truth. The show has meticulously developed the unique bond between Jason and Anna. It is a relationship forged not in family or romance, but in mutual respect and a shared understanding of the darker aspects of their world. They have been allies, confidants, and soldiers on the same battlefield. Jason sees Anna not just as the commissioner, but as a warrior in her own right, a peer. He understands her code, her resilience, and her unwavering commitment to those she loves. It is this understanding that would make the official story ring hollow to him. Jason's mind operates on logic and pattern recognition. The pattern of Anna's life does not include abandoning her post without a fight. His suspicion would be multifaceted and rooted in his current preoccupations. The Faison gaslighting theory. Jason is already living in a reality where the ghost of Caesar Faison seems to be manipulating events. He has voiced his belief that Faison is alive, a theory most have dismissed. Anna's sudden entanglement in a WSB mission would immediately ping on his radar as a potential part of this larger, unseen manipulation. If Faison is indeed alive and pulling strings, what better way to destabilize Port Charles and eliminate a formidable adversary than by neutralizing Anna Devane? To Jason, her disappearance wouldn't be a separate incident, it would be the next logical move in a game he already believes is being played. Distrust of Jack Brennan. Jason's default setting regarding the WSB is profound distrust, and his animosity toward Jack Brennan is personal and intense. He would never, under any circumstances, take Brennan's word at face value. The spoilers mention a phone call where Brennan supposedly spoke to Anna. In an age of advanced technology, Jason's mind would immediately go to the possibility of deception. AI voice replication, coercion, a pre-recorded message under duress, these would be his first assumptions, not the last. While others might hear Anna's voice and be reassured, Jason would hear it and question everything about the context, the tone, and the timing. Jason would not need a cryptic message or a desperate SOS to begin his investigation. The silence itself would be his clue. The absence of her presence, the void where her strategic mind should be during a time of rising threats from Sidwell and Brennan, would be all the evidence he requires to know that something is catastrophically wrong. His investigation would not be a public crusade but a private, relentless digging, a baptism into the shadows from which he once operated, but now with a more personal stake, the captive and the conspirators. What is happening to Anna? While Jason pieces together the puzzle from the outside, the spoilers suggest a grim reality for Anna on the inside. The voice that sounded like Caesar Faison offered her a chilling, paternalistic reassurance, be at peace since she was on her way to a new life. This is not the language of a standard prisoner transfer or even a vengeful torture. This is the language of re-education, of reconditioning. It hints at a fate far more sinister than mere captivity. Anna is not being held in a dank cell to be ransomed or interrogated for short-term gain. She is being remade, her identity stripped away to be repurposed. This new life could imply several horrifying possibilities. The Lazarus Project Revisited, the WSB, or a faction within it, could be attempting to create the ultimate deep-cover agent, one with Anna's skills and knowledge but without her free will or her allegiance to Port Charles. She could be brainwashed and sent back as a sleeper agent, a weapon aimed at the heart of her own family and friends. Faison's final triumph. If the voice was indeed Faison, his obsession with Anna has always been a twisted form of love and possession. A new life could mean a life by his side, a forced partnership where he finally conquers her indomitable spirit. This would be the ultimate psychological victory for him, far more satisfying than her death. A bartered pawn, Anna could be a high-value chip in a larger geopolitical game, her skills and knowledge being offered to the highest bidder on the black market of intelligence. The spoiler that she presumably won't be chained to a chair indefinitely is particularly telling. Her prison may be gilded, her treatment may be clinical rather than brutal, but this only makes it more terrifying. The greatest prisons are not made of stone and iron, but of manipulated memories and broken will. There may indeed come a moment of lucidity, a split second where the real Anna breaks through the programming. In that moment, she would know that her only hope lies with someone outside the system, someone who operates on instinct and loyalty over protocol. Her mind would not go to the PCPD or the mayor's office, it would go to Jason Morgan. An unlikely alliance, Jason and Britt Westbourne. Jason's quest for the truth would be a solitary one, but it would not be lonely. The spoilers present a compelling opportunity for him to join forces with Britt Westbourne. On the surface, they are an unlikely pairing, the stoic enforcer and the acerbic doctor. Yet, their partnership makes perfect narrative sense. Britt is already entangled in the periphery of this mystery. Her stolen key fob was used by the teens to break into a lab connected to Faison's legacy. She is living under the shadow of her Huntington's diagnosis and the ghost of her monstrous father. She has as much reason as Jason to suspect Faison's hand at work. Furthermore, her medical expertise would be invaluable. If Jason uncovers evidence of the methods being used on Anna, pharmaceutical cocktails, neurological manipulation, Britt would be the one person who could decipher the science behind the horror. Working together to find Anna would provide a rich opportunity for character development. They are two people who have built walls around themselves for protection. Jason's is a wall of silence and action, Britt's is a wall of wit and sarcasm. Forced into proximity by a shared, urgent goal, those walls would inevitably begin to crumble. They could find in each other a kindred spirit, someone who understands what it means to be defined by a family legacy they did not choose. Their banter would be a source of encouraging words in the bleakest of circumstances, a spark of humanity in a dark investigation. Britt could challenge Jason's single-mindedness with her pragmatism, while Jason could offer Britt a sense of purpose that transcends her diagnosis. This alliance would be more than a plot device, it would be a baptism of fire for their relationship, forging a bond that could evolve into one of the most compelling on the canvas. The inevitable confrontation, encouraging words and angry threats. As Jason and Britt peel back the layers of the conspiracy, they would inevitably attract the attention of those who wish it to remain hidden. Their investigation would be a journey punctuated by two contrasting sounds, the quiet, encouraging words they offer each other and the angry threats hurled at them by their powerful enemies. The encouragement would come in hushed tones in dark corners of the Metro Court, in the backroom of Charlie's pub, or in the sterile silence of Britt's office at GH. It would be Jason's simple, steadfast assurance, "We will find her." It would be Britt's sharp but supportive retort, "Well, don't get yourself killed before we do. I've invested too much time in this." These moments would be the emotional core of the story, the human element that grounds the high-stakes espionage. The angry threats, however, would be the driving force of the conflict. They would come from multiple directions. Jack Brennan, he would be the first to react. A man like Brennan cannot tolerate a loose cannon like Jason Morgan questioning his narrative. The threats would be professional and menacing. He might threaten to revoke Jason's parole, target his business interests, or, most chillingly, imply harm to those he loves, Jocelyn, Michael, Danny, Scout. He would use the full weight of the WSB to crush Jason's investigation, framing it as an obstruction of national security. The Faison faction, or whoever is behind the kidnapping if Jason gets too close, the threats would become more direct and personal. A car bomb, a sniper's shot, a warning left on his doorstep. They would target Britt as well, seeing her not just as an accomplice but as a traitor to her own bloodline. Internal resistance. Even within Port Charles, Jason might face opposition. Some, like a stressed and overwhelmed Laura, might initially plead with him to stand down, fearing that his rogue actions could jeopardize Anna's safety or trigger an international incident. Their words, while not threats, would feel like discouraging obstacles he must overcome. Jason's baptism into this conspiracy would be defined by his response to these threats. He would not be cowed. Instead, every threat would serve as confirmation that he is on the right path. It would fuel his determination, transforming a personal mission into a righteous crusade. In conclusion, the potential storyline of Jason Morgan investigating Anna Devane's disappearance is a narrative goldmine. It leverages a pre-existing, beloved character dynamic, places a stoic hero in a cerebral and action-packed role, and creates a compelling reason for a new alliance with Britt Westbourne. It is a story about the power of loyalty in a world of lies, the importance of one voice refusing to join the chorus of acquiescence. The journey would be a brutal baptism, demanding everything from its protagonists. But through the encouraging words they share in the darkness and in the face of the angry threats from the shadows, Jason and Britt would not just be searching for a missing friend, they would be fighting for the very soul of Port Charles, proving that some truths are too important to ever be buried.